I've been asked a few times how I go about undertaking photogrammetry surveys. This short video is going to be a typical job I've been asked to do. This is Wednesday early evening. A client has phoned me. They're about to start a muck shift next week. There's quite a lot of soils being moved around the site at present, and they want a survey doing before they do the next tranche of work, with a view to doing before and after surveys to double check volumes moved. It's going to be a smallish site. It's a site I know very well. I was flying there earlier this week. It will be a single flight, I think 14-15 minutes probably. For photogrammetry surveys for muck shifts, I'll fly that at 70 metres above takeoff point, and I normally set the overlap to 75 front and 70 side. That will collect around about 300 images, and that would be more than adequate to produce the required outputs, the digital elevation models, and thereafter work out the volumes. So I've arrived on site. This particular client has electronic sign-in, so I've just signed in. I've also just been to see the site manager to double check that what he wants, what he asked for on Thursday evening is the same, and yes it is. Just a kit, Phantom 4 Pro. I've got two Mavics in there, Mavic 2 Pro and Zoom, other cameras and the surveying equipment. I bring everything with me on every job because quite often when you're there you're asked to do something else. If you haven't got the kit, you're snookered. For all my survey work I use a Trimble catalyst. It's portable, it's light, down to 2 centimetre accuracy, so it's fine for this type of survey. Centred on the ground control point. Check its vertical. Record the point. On this particular job I've put in 6 ground controls, and I will capture between 15 and 20 other control points around the site. For all my surveying jobs I use these white plastic ground control markers, waterproof, simple cross check, all numbered, brass corners, and also brass one in the centre because your surveying pole will puncture it after time. All ground controls and control points now set up. I'm in the centre of the site where I want to film from, so ready to set the drone up. So I'm using the Phantom 4 Pro, which I use for all my surveys. First thing to do is a quick visual check to make sure everything's just generally looking okay. Check the battery, no swelling, fit it, and just double check it's tight. Insert a memory card. So the first thing to do is a test flight. Before I do any survey, I'll use the drone for a couple of minutes to check everything's okay. Today's started off blue sky day, but it's what's called a fluffy cloud day for me, which is not the best for surveys. You either want dead flat light, so complete cloud cover, or completely blue. Dead flat is better because you don't get any shadows. So the only thing for the fluffy cloud day, you sometimes have the issue of shadow rolling in and out of the image. So I've checked the battery, I've checked the amount of charge, 99%. I've checked the cells, all got equal levels of voltage. Checked the temperature, they're pre-warmed, so they're at 26 degrees, and I've checked the HD to make sure there's no interference. So we're good to test and see how we get on. Checks are all done. For the survey I'm using Ground Station Pro. Flight was pre-planned all last night. So I'll open up the flight. I'll double check that the home location is showing in the centre of the survey area. I've checked all other parameters, so we're good to go. So as the drone's on its way to the first waypoint, I double check a few of the parameters, particularly that the battery's okay, the drone is looking right, I can see it just about to start. I double check the exposure, we're on 1/400th at f-stop 5. I've got some cloud rolling in and out, so I might adjust it slightly. Otherwise it started its mission, which will take 13 minutes and 40 seconds and allow 3 minutes for takeoff getting to the first point and returning to home and landings. The drone's about halfway through the flight, everything going to plan. Battery life is at 76%, so yeah, we'll probably be above 40% when it lands. And collected about half of the imagery, so I think we'll collect about 300 images, probably slightly under. Just finished the survey, got back to the car. Now importantly, all the ground controls are still out in the field. Don't move those until you've double checked your image is good. So I've loaded the images, just checking through half a dozen to make sure they're all focused, correctly exposed, and they're all looking good. So I can now go and collect the ground controls. Health and safety one on site. Just make sure you follow the company instructions and the site rules. On this particular site, a lot of pedestrian walkways, so do use them. And there's a lot of plant and equipment moving around. Here they use a thumbs up protocol. So if a machine is approaching you, you simply get eye contact, thumbs up. Either you stop and let the machine pass, or he will wave you pass. It's an easy system to follow. Just make sure you do follow the rules and keep safe on site. I'm now back at my office. I'll get the data processed this afternoon, check everything's okay. I'll do some volumetric analysis and hopefully that'll be with the client tomorrow. So from filming the site this morning, they'll have all the work they need within 24 hours. The next video is going to be more about ground controls, control points and how they're used on site, how do I set them out, how they're used in the processing. That video will follow shortly, so until then, bye for now.